love how it came together. Russell Westbrook, meanwhile, saying he's not going to change the way he plays. And he says when he's on the floor, he's not trying to be friendly, quote unquote, I don't have any friends. Okay, then. All right, the Wizards traded for the former MVP this week, introduced him on Saturday, and Westbrook talked about his mindset headed to his new team.
Every season I go in with the mentality to be able to strive to be the best. If I'm not striving to win the championship, then what's the point? And I believe that each NBA player and teams, coaching staff, they come in trying to be the best regardless of the personnel, regardless of what you have, what other teams have. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what we have in our locker room, and that's the most important thing to me. And we're going to strive to win as many games as we can and try to win a championship if we can, as long as we put our effort, our energy, our time, and our sacrifice our minds and our bodies to be able to do it. We can walk away and live with that.
Washington has to be a playoff team. They have to this season, not only to keep West.
I guess. Number 4 for the Washington Wizards. Still looks strange. Let's recap the effect of this trade. Westbrook averaging 27.2 points per game in 57 games last season. Shot a career-high 47% from the floor. But he also finished with postseason career lows in several categories, including points, assists, and three-point shooting. And you better believe he wants that ball. Westbrook ran ISO on 25% of his plays last season. That was the second highest percentage in the league, only behind his former teammate James Harden, who topped out at 45%. And Russ is going from playing with the league's leading scorer, Harden, who averaged 34.3 a game, to the player who actually finished second in scoring right behind Harden last year. That's Bradley Beal, averaging 30.5 points per game. Here is Bradley Beal today, speaking for the first time since the big trade.
It's been an emotional week. It's definitely been some tough 24, 48, 72 hours here. Just kind of letting it all seep in and just realizing that, your brother is no longer here with you no more. He's off to something better. So it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. I'm trying not to get emotional now, but it was tough, man, because he's a brother, and you realize that relationship was so strong, but it was so crazy because a lot of people tried to break us apart. He's a true point, and I'm a true too, so I would feel like that in itself is, makes us mesh. I don't think it'll be anything where he comes in and he's like trying to, run the show and just do everything by himself. I am a fan of his. He's a family man. He's a great guy, great character guy. I believe we'll mesh well and gel well. I'm excited to have him here.
NBA insider Brian Windhorst live on SportsCenter with more on the new-look Wizards. And Brian, it was interesting to see Bradley Beal, noticeably emotional right there, talking about his brother, John Wall. They did experience a lot together, but in the end, why did Washington decide Westbrook was a better fit than Wall?
Yeah, Sage, I'm not so sure everybody in the league with what's going on in Houston thinks that Wall's gone to a better place right now. I guess we'll see how that develops. But, this was really Bradley Beal, I think, wanted to get out there that this had nothing to do with him. This wasn't like he wanted it broken up, but this had everything to do with him, because the Wizards have to worry about what Bradley Beal is going to look at in the future. He's only got 1 year left on his contract after this season, which applies pressure for the Wizards to get back into the playoffs. And you look at their rivals out there, the Hawks, the Hornets, made major moves in free agency. This move is designed to get an all-NBA point guard in there, fit better other than a guy who hasn't played in 2 years like John Wall, and get the Wizards back to the playoffs. That's what the Wizards are focused on, and that's what this is really going to be. We're going to be watching this year between Westbrook and Beal.
We'll see if it works out that way. And again, Westbrook being reunited with his former Oklahoma City head coach, Scotty Brooks. Brian, stay there. Kevin's got some Clippers talk with him.
Yeah, Beal and Russ, a new duo out east. A year ago, the hot new duo out west was Kawhi and PG-13 with the Clippers. The last time we saw them on the court, they blew a 3-1 series lead. Kawhi and Paul George won a combined 10 for 38 in Game 7 as the Clippers failed to advance to the conference finals. That loss ended up being the final game for Doc Rivers as the Clippers head coach. He's now with the Sixers, and Clippers assistant Ty Lue was promoted. He won an NBA title as the Cavs head coach in 2016. Now, Wednesday on the All the Smoke podcast, George said that the team did make adjustments when they lost to the Nuggets, many seeing it as a shot at his former head coach, that is Doc. PG-13 was asked about those comments today.
I think that's where everybody got misconstrued. We all take responsibility into that. Fact of the matter is, me being one of the, top players on the team, I wasn't at a peak performance. I wasn't playing well enough. The fact that I gave up a 3-1 series, being on that floor, sits with me and haunts me. But I do want to clear it up because the notion out there is that, I don't respect Doc and I'm putting the blame on Doc, which is not the case. I am to blame in that situation just as much as anybody else.
I mean, obviously, we should have won. We could have won. It's a lot of that in your mind. But, I mean, just looking at it from my perspective, obviously, we should all play better, coach better. The motivation definitely comes in within the player. A coach can't put a battery in your back and tell you to play hard or go win games. You have to have a mindset.
Let's bring back Wendy here on SportsCenter. So both Kawhi and Paul George could opt out of their deals and be free agents after this season. What's the buzz around the league about what this season means for the Clippers?
Yeah, this is a high-pressure season for the Clippers, which is one of the reasons why the coaching change was such an important thing and why it was such an important decision. But as you talk to people around the league, what they'll say is, look, this is a bit of a referendum year on Paul George because he is now in his career twice asked to be traded away from Indiana and away from Oklahoma City. And this is a situation where he's just criticized his coach, whether he wants to reframe those comments or not, after a playoff series where he did not deliver at the highest level. He said today that he wants to be a Clipper for life, but he is going to have to deliver at the level that the Clippers want to commit to him for a lifetime type contract, which he would be in the offing for with a good year this season.
And we know it's not in the regular season. It is in the postseason. We'll see how this plays out this upcoming season. They start their preseason a week from today against the Lakers. Brian Windhorst here with us on SportsCenter.
In a state that consistently produces some of the country's best high school football talent, Emmanuel Duran is one of the best on his team for sure. But now, not only is his season over, the season for his entire team at Edinburgh High School in Texas, that's over as well, thanks to the actions of the 18-year-old senior defensive lineman who's been charged with assault after charging into a referee during a game last night. Michelle Steele has the details surrounding what happened in Edinburgh, Texas.
It should have been a routine football play. Edinburgh High School defensive end Emmanuel Duran, 88 in blue, gets penalized with a late hit, then appears to exchange words with the referee Fred Gracia and gets flagged again. Gracia made the call.
We got a personal foul, late hit on the quarterback, number 88, and unsportsmanlike conduct, number 88 on the defense, has been disqualified.
Gracia turns away. Duran would rush back onto the field. The crowd stood stunned at what they had just witnessed. One of the team's best players violently knocking 50.
Dolphins head coach Brian Flores did not reveal whether Tua Tagovailoa or Ryan Fitzpatrick will start Sunday against the Bengals. Tua's questionable with a thumb injury. QB questions continue for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is on the COVID list but could return in time for Tuesday's game. His absence and RG3's injury leaves Trace McSorley as the Ravens' only active quarterback. And the college football, where number 4 Ohio State will be back in action tomorrow. They confirmed they will play Michigan State as scheduled after canceling last weekend's game against Illinois due to COVID-19 issues. Welcome to SportsCenter. Ahead, we will take a closer look at the NBA releasing its first half schedule. But first, Sadie.
Yeah, one of the biggest stories this week has been the blockbuster trade in the NBA. And today, Russell Westbrook's brand new backcourt teammate spoke for the first time. We will hear from Bradley Beal in a moment as Westbrook, the